In a distant galaxy, on a beautiful planet called Aurelia, lived a young alien girl named Zyla. Zyla was not like humans. She had bright blue skin that sparkled in the sunlight and big round eyes that changed colors with her feelings. When she was happy, her eyes turned green, and when she was sad, they became a deep shade of purple. Zyla loved to explore the lush forests and colorful fields of her home. But there was one thing she feared: humans. Zilla had grown up listening to scary stories about humans. Her parents and friends often told tales of how humans were dangerous and mean. They spoke of how humans had hurt many beings on different planets. These stories filled Zyla's heart with fear and distrust. She believed that all humans were violent and could not be trusted. Every day after school, Zyla would gather with her friends under the tall, glowing trees. They would sit in a circle, sharing stories and playing games. One day, as they played a game of tag, Zyla's best friend, Lyra, said, "Did you hear? Humans are coming to Aurelia. They are coming for a big meeting." Zyla's heart sank. "What if they try to hurt us?" she asked, worried. "What if they bring trouble to our planet?" Lyra shook her head. "I don't know, but my parents say we must be careful. We should stay away from them." The news of the human visit spread through the village like wildfire. Zyla felt nervous, but also curious. She had never seen a human before. What would they look like? Would they really be as scary as everyone said? She thought about the stories she had heard, but a small part of her wanted to see a human with her own eyes. As the days passed, Zyla noticed more and more excitement in her village. Her friends were whispering and pointing as they prepared for the humans' arrival. Some people were decorating their homes with bright flowers and colorful lights, hoping to impress the visitors. But Zyla felt anxious. She could not understand why everyone was so eager to welcome the humans. Finally, the day of the human arrival came. Zyla woke up early, her heart racing. She could hear the buzz of excitement outside. Everyone in the village was gathering at the landing site. Zyla took a deep breath and decided to go see what was happening. When she arrived, she saw a large spaceship shining in the sky. It looked like a silver bird, sleek and bright against the blue sky. Zyla's friends were already there, jumping up and down with excitement. She felt a mix of fear and curiosity. Would she really see a human today? The spaceship landed softly, and a loud noise filled the air. The ground shook a little as the doors opened, and Zyla held her breath. A tall figure stepped out. Zyla's heart raced as she tried to make out what the human looked like. The human was dressed in strange clothes and had short brown hair. He stepped out confidently, looking around with wide eyes. "That's a human," Lyra whispered, her voice filled with wonder. Zyla felt a strange pull towards the human. She watched as he smiled at the crowd, and her heart skipped a beat. He didn't look scary at all. In fact, he looked friendly. But Zyla quickly shook off the thought. No, humans were bad, she reminded herself. She had to stay away. The human started to speak to the crowd, his voice clear and strong. "Hello, Aurelia. My name is Ethan, and I am here to make friends. We come in peace." The crowd erupted in cheers, but Zyla felt uneasy. How could he be so sure? What if he was tricking them? She decided to stay at the back of the crowd, watching from a distance. As the day went on, more humans came out of the spaceship. They began to set up their camp, unpacking strange objects and sharing their food with Zyla's people. Zyla could not believe her eyes. They were so different from her. Some humans had light hair, some had dark, and they all seemed to laugh and enjoy each other's company. It was strange to see them working together so happily. Zyla watched Ethan as he spoke with the villagers. He listened to them and asked questions about their customs. He seemed genuinely interested, and Zyla felt a tiny spark of doubt about everything she had been taught. Could humans really be so friendly? But just then, Zyla's mother called her name from behind. "Zyla, come here." Zyla turned and hurried over to her mother. "What are you doing so close?" her mother asked with concern. Remember what we have learned about humans. They are not to be trusted." Zyla nodded, but in her heart, she felt different. She wanted to believe there was more to humans than just the scary stories. As she watched Ethan talk to her friends, she couldn't help but wonder what it would be like to know him better. The sun began to set, painting the sky with beautiful colors. Zyla stood there, torn between her fears and her curiosity. Today was just the beginning, and she had a feeling that everything she thought she knew about humans was about to change. Humans land. The next day, Zyla woke up with a mix of excitement and fear. Today was the day humans would land on Aurelia. She could hear the sounds of her village bustling with energy outside her window. The sun shone bright in the sky, and the air smelled fresh with the scent of flowers. Zyla dressed quickly, her heart racing. She felt a strange urge to see the humans again, but her worries whispered in her mind. When Zyla reached the gathering place, she found many of her friends already there. They were all chatting and laughing, their eyes sparkling with anticipation. Lyra bounced on her toes. "I can't wait to meet them. I heard they brought amazing gifts." Zilla managed a small smile, but deep inside, her heart felt heavy. She remembered her mother's words about humans being dangerous. Would they really bring gifts, or would they bring trouble? The crowd grew larger as more villagers arrived. They filled the air with cheerful voices and laughter, but Zilla felt out of place. She stood back, watching as the spaceship hovered in the distance. It was a magnificent sight, glimmering against the blue sky like a shooting star. Finally, the spaceship landed softly, creating a small cloud of dust. Zyla's heart pounded in her chest. She felt as if the whole village was holding its breath. Slowly, the door of the spaceship opened, and Zyla leaned forward to get a better look. Out stepped a group of humans, and Zyla's breath caught in her throat. They were unlike anything she had ever seen. Their skin colors ranged from pale to dark, and they wore clothes of many different styles. Some looked serious, while others were smiling and waving to the crowd. Zyla's eyes were drawn to Ethan, the friendly human from yesterday. He stood tall with a wide smile that made Zyla's heart flutter. As Ethan stepped forward, he raised his hands in greeting. "Hello, everyone. We are here to learn about your wonderful planet and share our knowledge. We come in peace." The crowd erupted with cheers and applause. Zyla watched as the villagers rushed forward, eager to meet the humans. She felt a tug of fear, but also a strange urge to join them. Was it wrong to be curious about them? Lyra pulled Zyla's arm. "Come on, Zyla. Let's go say hi." Zyla hesitated, her heart racing. "I don't know, Lyra. What if they are not what they seem?" Lyra rolled her eyes. "You're being silly. They seem nice. Let's just go." With a deep breath, Zyla followed Lyra into the crowd. As they approached the humans, Zyla's heart raced faster. She was close enough to see Ethan's kind smile. "Hi there," Ethan said, crouching down to Zyla's level. "What's your name?" Zyla felt shy and nervous. "I'm Zyla," she managed to say, her voice barely above a whisper. Ethan's smile widened. "Zyla, that's a beautiful name. We're so happy to be here. What do you like most about Aurelia?" Zyla's mind raced. She wanted to tell him about the glowing trees and the delicious fruits, but her fear held her back. I like the flowers," she finally said, pointing to a nearby field filled with colorful blooms. Ethan's eyes sparkled with interest. "They're amazing. We brought some seeds from Earth. Maybe we can plant them together." Zyla's heart fluttered at the idea. Planting seeds together would be fun. But what if the seeds were bad? Zyla felt torn between her growing curiosity and the fear that had been instilled in her since she was a child. As the day continued, the humans shared gifts with the villagers. They brought strange but exciting things like bright fabrics, shiny tools, and colorful food. Everyone was amazed, laughing and trying the new treats. Zyla watched from the sidelines, feeling more and more curious about Ethan and his friends. Suddenly, she heard a loud noise. A group of villagers was arguing about the humans. "We shouldn't trust them," one voice shouted. "They could be lying." Zyla's heart sank. The fear she had tried to ignore came rushing back. But then she looked at Ethan, who was helping a small child tie a colorful ribbon around their wrist. He looked gentle and kind. "Why are you scared?" Lyra asked, noticing Zyla's frown. "They are not doing anything bad." Zilla shook her head. "But what if they are just pretending? What if they come to take our planet?" Lyra sighed. "Not all humans are bad, Zyla. You saw how nice Ethan is. You should give them a chance." Zyla wanted to believe her friend. She felt a pull toward Ethan, a connection she couldn't explain. But could she really trust him? The sun began to set, painting the sky in beautiful oranges and pinks. Zyla stood at the edge of the crowd, her heart full of confusion. She wanted to step forward, to talk more with Ethan, but fear held her back. Would she be brave enough to break through the wall of doubt that surrounded her? As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Zyla took a deep breath. Today was just the beginning. Something inside her whispered that this was a chance for something new, something wonderful. But would she be ready to take that step? A chance meeting. The sun rose bright and cheerful over Aurelia, casting a warm glow on everything. Zyla woke up feeling different. The memories of the humans' arrival swirled in her mind, especially Ethan's friendly smile. She felt a mix of excitement and fear, but she couldn't shake the curiosity that tugged at her heart. As she got ready for the day, Zyla thought about how much she wanted to see Ethan again. Maybe he was not so scary after all. After breakfast, Zyla decided to take a walk in the village. She wanted to see if the humans were still around. As she walked through the village, Zyla noticed that many people were busy preparing for a festival to welcome the humans. Bright banners hung from every building, and colorful flowers were everywhere. The air was filled with laughter and music, and Zyla felt a little more at ease. "Zyla, over here," Lyra called out, waving her arms. Zyla turned to see her friend sitting near a group of humans, including Ethan. Lyra had a big smile on her face. Zyla's heart raced as she approached. "Hi, Zyla," Ethan said, standing up to greet her. "I'm glad to see you again." His smile was warm and inviting, making Zyla's heart flutter. "Hi," Zyla replied softly, feeling shy. She looked down at her feet, unsure of what to say. Ethan knelt down to her level, making her feel more comfortable. "Would you like to help us with the festival preparations? We have some fun activities planned." Zyla's eyes widened. "Activities? Like what?" Ethan's smile grew even bigger. "We're going to have games, dancing, and food tasting. We'd love for you to join us." Zyla felt a wave of excitement wash over her. This could be her chance to learn more about humans and to see if they really were as friendly as Ethan seemed. "Okay, I'll help," she said, feeling braver. "Great," Ethan replied. "Let's start with the food tasting. We brought some delicious treats from our planet." As they walked toward the food tables, Zyla felt her heart racing. She was really going to spend time with Ethan. When they reached the tables, Zyla saw many colorful dishes that looked strange but inviting. There were sweet fruits, crunchy snacks, and even some dishes that bubbled and steamed. "What do you want to try first?" Ethan asked, pointing to a bright orange fruit. "This is called a mango. It's really sweet." Zyla picked up the mango and took a small bite. The flavor exploded in her mouth, and she smiled. "It's amazing," she exclaimed. Ethan grinned. "I'm glad you like it. There's more where that came from." As they continued tasting different foods, Zyla felt her fears begin to melt away. She laughed at Ethan's funny stories about life on Earth. He told her about his favorite games and how he loved to play soccer with his friends. Zyla shared stories of her own, talking about the glowing flowers in the forest and the way they danced in the wind. Suddenly, they heard laughter behind them. A group of human children ran past, chasing each other while playing a game. Zyla's eyes sparkled with joy as she watched them. "Can I play too?" she asked, feeling a surge of excitement. "Of course," Ethan said, encouraging her. "Let's go join them." Zilla and Ethan ran after the children, laughter filling the air. They played tag, and Zyla felt free and happy. She was no longer worried about the humans. Instead, she was having fun and making new friends. As the game went on, Zyla felt a warm feeling inside her. She was glad she had taken the chance to meet Ethan. He was kind and fun, unlike the scary stories she had heard. After a while, the children grew tired and flopped down on the grass, panting and giggling. Zyla sat next to Ethan, feeling the sun warm her skin. "I had so much fun," she said, her face glowing with happiness. Ethan nodded. "Me too. You're a great player, Zyla. I'm really happy we met." Zilla smiled shyly. "I'm glad we met too. You're not like the stories I heard." Ethan looked at her, his expression serious. "I know many stories about humans can be scary, but I promise we only want to be friends. We want to learn and share with you." Zyla felt her heart swell with hope. "Maybe I can show you more about Aurelia. There are so many beautiful places to see." "I would love that," Ethan replied, his eyes shining with excitement. "We can explore together." Just then, Lyra came over, interrupting their moment. "Zyla, come on, we're starting the dance now." Zilla stood up, glancing at Ethan. "Do you want to join us?" she asked, her heart pounding with anticipation. "Absolutely," Ethan replied, and they both followed Lyra to the center of the village. As they joined the villagers, Zyla felt a sense of belonging wash over her. She was dancing with her friends, and a human who was becoming more than just a stranger. With every twirl and laugh, Zyla's fears faded further away. She was beginning to understand that perhaps the world was not as black and white as she had always believed. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with shades of purple and gold, Zyla felt a new beginning blossoming within her. Today had been special, and she couldn't wait to see what the future held for her and Ethan. Building friendship, the festival continued into the evening, and Zilla felt a warm glow in her heart as she danced with her friends and Ethan. The music filled the air, and everyone laughed, enjoying the celebration together. Zyla couldn't remember the last time she felt so happy and carefree. As the night grew darker, colorful lights twinkled all around the village. The villagers had hung glowing lanterns in the trees, and the lights made everything look magical. Zyla took a moment to watch as her friends danced with the humans, their laughter blending with the cheerful music. Ethan caught Zyla's eye and waved her over. "Come on, let's show them the traditional dance of Aurelia," he said excitedly. Zyla's heart raced at the idea. "You want to learn our dance?" "Of course, I want to learn everything about your culture," Ethan replied, his eyes shining with enthusiasm. Zyla felt proud. She loved her culture and wanted to share it with Ethan. "Okay, follow me," she said, leading him to the center of the crowd. As the music changed to a gentle rhythm, Zyla showed Ethan the steps of the Aurelian dance. She moved gracefully, twirling and spinning, her bright blue skin glowing under the lanterns. At first, Ethan stumbled a little, but he quickly caught on. Zyla laughed as he tried to mimic her moves, and soon he was dancing along, his laughter ringing through the night. "See, you're a natural," Zyla cheered, clapping her hands. Ethan grinned, slightly out of breath. "This is so much fun. I've never danced like this before." The villagers watched with joy, and soon they joined in, clapping and cheering for Zula and Ethan. The feeling of unity filled the air, and Zilla felt grateful for this moment. She realized that her fears of humans were fading away with every laugh and every dance step. As the night went on, Zilla and Ethan took a break, sitting on the grass under the glowing lanterns. "I've learned so much about Aurelia today," Ethan said, looking at Zyla. "It's such a beautiful place, and your people are wonderful." Zyla smiled shyly. "Thank you. I'm glad you're here," It's nice to share my world with someone. Ethan nodded, his expression serious. I want you to know that we came to Aurelia to make friends, not enemies. I promise to always respect your culture. Zyla felt touched by his words. That means a lot to me. I was scared at first, but you've shown me that humans can be kind. Ethan smiled back. I'm happy to hear that. Friends should always be honest with each other. Just then, Lyra ran over, her face bright with excitement. Zyla, you have to come see the fireworks. They're about to start. Zyla jumped up, her excitement bubbling over. Fireworks. I love those. Ethan stood up too, his eyes sparkling. Let's go together. They all rushed to the open field where the villagers had gathered. Zyla felt a thrill of joy as she found a good spot on the grass. She looked at Ethan, who was also staring up at the night sky, anticipation written on his face. As the first firework lit up the sky, Zyla gasped in awe. It exploded into a beautiful array of colors, lighting up the night. Wow! She exclaimed, her eyes wide with wonder. Ethan watched her, his heart swelling. You look so happy. I love seeing your joy. With each firework that burst in the sky, Zyla felt a deeper connection to Ethan. They shared excited glances and laughter, and for a moment, it felt like nothing else mattered. The worries about humans and their past faded away in the light of the fireworks. Can I show you something? Zyla suddenly asked, her curiosity igniting. There's a secret spot nearby where we can see the stars better. Really? I'd love to, Ethan replied eagerly. They made their way through the village, away from the crowd. Zyla led Ethan to a small hill that overlooked the forest. When they reached the top, Zyla stopped to catch her breath. This is my favorite place, she said, pointing to the sky. The stars twinkled like diamonds, and the moon shone brightly. Zyla felt a sense of peace wash over her as she sat down on the soft grass. Ethan joined her, his eyes wide with wonder. This is incredible, he said, gazing up at the stars. I've never seen so many stars before. Zyla smiled, feeling proud to share this moment with him. On clear nights, the stars look even more beautiful. We have stories about each one. Really? Can you tell me one? Ethan asked, leaning closer. Zyla nodded, feeling excited. There's a star named Vela. The story says it's a guide for lost travelers. If you follow it, you'll always find your way home. Ethan listened closely, captivated by her words. That's beautiful. I wish we had stories like that on Earth. Your culture is so rich. Zyla felt warmth in her chest. They were building a friendship, sharing stories and laughter under the stars. She realized how important it was to open her heart to Ethan. As the night went on, Zyla and Ethan shared more stories, laughing and talking about their worlds. Zyla felt a bond growing between them, stronger than anything she had ever felt before. In that moment, sitting under the vast sky, Zyla knew that she had taken a brave step. She had opened her heart to a human, and in return, she found a true friend. The stars twinkled above, a reminder of the endless possibilities that lay ahead. Zyla felt hopeful about the future, excited for the adventures that awaited her and Ethan. Together, they would explore the beauty of both Aurelia and Earth, building a friendship that could change their worlds forever. Trouble strikes. The days turned into weeks, and Zyla and Ethan grew closer with each passing moment. They spent their time exploring the beauty of Aurelia together, learning from one another and sharing laughter. The villagers welcomed Ethan, and he became a part of their community. Zyla felt grateful for the friendship they were building. One sunny afternoon, Zyla and Ethan decided to visit the glowing flower field. Zyla loved this place because it looked like a magical dream. As they walked, Zyla felt happy and free. You're going to love this place, she said, leading Ethan to her favorite spot. When they arrived, Ethan gasped in amazement. The flowers glowed in shades of blue, pink, and purple, illuminating the field like stars on the ground. This is beautiful, Zyla. I've never seen anything like it. Zilla smiled proudly. Isn't it amazing? These flowers only bloom at certain times of the year. As they wandered through the flowers, Zyla picked one and handed it to Ethan. Here, this is for you. Ethan took the flower and held it gently. Thank you. It's so beautiful, just like you. He smiled, and Zyla felt her cheeks blush. They spent the day talking, laughing, and picking flowers. Zyla felt happier than ever, but in the back of her mind, a small worry lingered. She had heard whispers among some villagers about the dangers of trusting humans, but each time she looked at Ethan, those fears faded away. That evening, Zilla and Ethan returned to the village. As they approached, they noticed a group of villagers gathered in a circle, their faces tight with worry. Zyla felt a knot form in her stomach. What's happening? She asked, her voice trembling. Lyra rushed over to them, her eyes wide with fear. Zyla, there's trouble. Some villagers saw a group of humans taking things from the forest. Zyla's heart sank. What do you mean? Taking things? Why would they do that? I don't know, Lyra replied, her voice shaking. But people are saying that humans are not to be trusted. They think they want to steal our resources. Ethan's face fell. That can't be true. I promise we only came here to make friends. But Zilla could see the worry spreading among the villagers. They were whispering to each other, casting uneasy glances at Ethan. We have to find out what really happened, Zyla said, trying to keep her voice calm. Together, they approached the crowd, and Zilla stepped forward. What's going on? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady. One of the village leaders, a tall elder named Kiran, looked at Zyla with concern. Some villagers claim they saw humans gathering materials from the forest. They are worried that they are taking what does not belong to them. Ethan raised his hands, trying to calm everyone. Please listen. We only wanted to learn about your world. We didn't mean any harm. But the crowd grew restless, murmurs of anger filling the air. You can't trust them, someone shouted. They are here to take what's ours. Zyla felt her heart race. No, Ethan is my friend. He would never do that. She looked at Ethan, her eyes pleading. Please, tell them the truth. Ethan stepped forward, looking serious. I promise we only wanted to learn and share with you. We would never steal from your land. The crowd quieted for a moment, but doubt lingered in the air. Zyla could see the tension building. She knew she had to act fast. Let's go to the forest and see what's really happening, she suggested. We need to find out the truth. Kiran nodded, his expression thoughtful. Very well. We will go to the forest together and see what has been taken. But we must be careful. The group made their way to the edge of the forest, Zyla's heart racing with worry. She could feel the tension in the air, and she hoped they would find nothing wrong. As they entered the trees, Zyla held Ethan's hand tightly, wanting to reassure him. When they reached a clearing, Zyla gasped. There, in the center of the area, were piles of branches and fallen leaves. It looked like someone had been gathering firewood, but there were no humans in sight. Kiran looked around, his brow furrowed. This is strange. Where did the humans go? Suddenly, a voice called from the trees. A group of humans appeared, carrying bundles of sticks. It was Ethan's friends, who had come to explore the forest. Ethan, we were just gathering firewood, one of them called out. Zyla's heart sank as she saw the worried expressions on the villagers' faces. See, one villager shouted, they are taking from our forest. Ethan stepped forward, his face determined. Wait, we didn't know this was your land. We thought it was free for gathering. We only wanted to help. But the villagers were not listening. They turned away, anger and fear written on their faces. Zyla felt a wave of frustration wash over her. She wanted to scream, to make them see that Ethan was not a threat. But the divide between humans and her people was growing wider. As the villagers walked away, Zyla turned to Ethan, her heart heavy. I'm so sorry, she said, tears in her eyes. I tried to defend you. Ethan shook his head, looking hurt but determined. It's okay, Zyla. I understand their fear, but we have to show them that we mean no harm. Zyla nodded, feeling a sense of urgency. We have to talk to them, to explain everything. Yes, let's gather everyone again, Ethan replied, his voice filled with hope. We can clear this misunderstanding together. With renewed determination, Zilla and Ethan began their journey back to the village. They had to find a way to bridge the gap between their worlds before it was too late. As they walked, Zyla knew they faced a challenge, but she also felt a spark of hope. Together, they could build a friendship strong enough to overcome any obstacle, even when trouble struck. Standing together, Zilla and Ethan hurried back to the village, their hearts pounding with worry. The atmosphere was heavy with tension, and Zilla felt a knot in her stomach. She knew they needed to act quickly to mend the rift between the humans and the villagers. When they arrived, the villagers were gathered in a circle, discussing what had happened in the forest. Zyla could see the anger and fear in their eyes, and it made her heart ache. She took a deep breath, hoping to find the right words. Everyone, please, Zyla called out, stepping into the circle. The crowd turned to look at her, and she felt Ethan at her side, offering silent support. Zyla, it's too dangerous, Lyra whispered, fear in her voice. No, we must talk, Zyla replied, determination shining in her eyes. We can't let misunderstandings divide us. Ethan and his friends didn't mean any harm. Kiran, the village leader, looked at Zyla thoughtfully. But they were gathering wood from our forest without asking. How can we trust them? Ethan stepped forward, his voice steady. I understand your fears, but I promise we only wanted to help. We didn't know the forest belonged to you. We thought it was open for everyone. The villagers murmured among themselves, doubt still flickering in their eyes. Zyla felt the weight of their distrust. Please, she said, her voice rising above the whispers. Let us explain everything. We can learn from each other. Isn't that why we wanted to meet? Finally, Kiran nodded slowly. All right, but we will hear both sides. We need to understand each other better. Ethan smiled gratefully. Thank you. We want to show you that we are not enemies. We can be friends if you give us a chance. With Kiran leading the way, the villagers and Ethan's friends gathered in the village square. Zyla felt nervous but hopeful. She knew this was their chance to change the minds of the villagers. Once everyone was seated, Zyla stood up, her heart racing. Thank you all for listening. We are here to build a friendship, not to take anything from you. Ethan and I have learned so much from each other, and we want to learn more about your ways. Ethan added, when we arrived, we didn't know how much we needed to ask for permission. We're sorry for any trouble we caused. It was never our intention to disrespect your land. One of the villagers, an older woman named Mira, raised her hand. But how can we trust you? We have heard many stories about humans taking what they want and leaving nothing behind. Zyla felt a surge of anger at the unfairness of the accusation, but she held her tongue. I understand your fear, she said softly. But I ask you to look at Ethan and his friends. They came here with open hearts. They want to share and learn, just like we do. Ethan looked around the circle, his eyes sincere. If you allow us to prove ourselves, we will show you that we can work together. We can help each other. The crowd remained silent, weighing their words carefully. Zyla took a step closer, her voice earnest. Let us show you how we can help. We can teach you about our traditions, and you can teach us about yours. After a long pause, Kiran spoke again. What do you propose? Zilla took a deep breath, feeling a spark of hope. Let us hold a festival together. We can celebrate both our cultures. We can share food, music, and stories. It will be a chance for both our people to come together. The villagers began to murmur among themselves, exchanging glances. Zyla could feel the tension easing a little. Kiran rubbed his chin thoughtfully. A festival could help us learn about each other. but it must be clear that both sides contribute and respect each other's traditions. Ethan nodded vigorously. We will do everything we can to show you our respect. We want this to be a true celebration of our friendship. Slowly, more villagers nodded in agreement. Zyla felt a wave of relief wash over her. Maybe they could bridge the gap after all. We will work together to plan this festival, Kiran announced, his voice strong. But know this, any disrespect will not be tolerated. We will be watching closely. Zyla smiled, her heart swelling with hope. Thank you for giving us this chance. We won't let you down. As the villagers began to discuss the festival preparations, Zyla turned to Ethan, her eyes shining with excitement. We did it. They're willing to try. Ethan grinned, a look of determination on his face. This is just the beginning, Zyla. We can make something beautiful together. The following days were filled with energy and excitement as both the villagers and Ethan's friends worked hard to prepare for the festival. They shared ideas, combined their traditions, and learned from one another. Zyla watched as barriers slowly began to break down. The villagers and the humans started to laugh together, sharing stories and food. For the first time, she felt a sense of unity growing among them. One evening, as they worked late into the night, Zyla found herself standing next to Ethan, admiring the decorations they had created together. I can't believe we've come this far, she said, her heart full of joy. Ethan nodded, looking at her with warmth. Thank you for believing in me and in us. Your courage means everything. Zyla smiled back, feeling grateful for their friendship. They had faced trouble, but now they stood together, ready to embrace a future filled with hope and connection. As the sun set on the village, the colors of the sky mirrored the warmth in Zyla's heart. She knew that together, they could overcome any challenge. Standing side by side with Ethan, she felt a sense of peace. The festival would be a celebration of their bond, and it was only the beginning of a beautiful journey ahead. A new beginning. The day of the festival dawned bright and clear. Zyla woke up early, her heart racing with excitement. She could hear laughter and chatter outside as villagers and humans prepared for the celebration. Colorful banners hung from trees, and the scent of delicious food filled the air. As she stepped outside, Zyla felt a wave of joy wash over her. Ethan stood nearby, helping to set up a large tent decorated with flowers. He looked up and smiled when he saw her. Good morning, Zyla. Are you ready for the big day? Zyla nodded enthusiastically. I can't believe it's finally here. Everyone has worked so hard. Ethan grinned. Yes, it feels like we've come a long way. Today will be special. The village square was alive with energy. Villagers were cooking, setting up games, and decorating the area with colorful flowers. Zyla noticed how everyone seemed excited to welcome Ethan and his friends. She felt a sense of pride swell in her chest. As the sun rose higher in the sky, more and more people gathered in the square. Zyla and Ethan took a moment to look around at the cheerful faces. It's amazing to see everyone coming together, Ethan said, his eyes shining. Zyla agreed, feeling grateful for the opportunity to connect their two worlds. Today will show everyone that we can be friends, she said. The festival began with a warm welcome from Kiran. He spoke to the crowd, his voice strong and clear. Today, we celebrate our friendship. Let us open our hearts and minds to learn from each other. The villagers cheered, and Zyla felt a surge of happiness. As the festivities started, they shared traditional foods from both cultures. Humans brought tasty dishes, and the villagers shared their special recipes too. Zyla and Ethan moved from table to table, trying everything. This is delicious, Ethan exclaimed, taking a bite of a spiced meat dish. What is it called? Zyla smiled proudly. It's called mirin, a favorite in our village. As the day went on, laughter filled the air. There were games for everyone to enjoy, from races to storytelling contests. Zyla watched as villagers and humans played together, their differences fading away. It was a beautiful sight. One of the villagers approached Ethan, a young boy named Harrow. "Can you show me how to throw a ball like you do?" Taro asked, his eyes wide with curiosity. "Of course," Ethan replied, kneeling to show Taro the proper way to throw. They'd practiced together, and soon Taro was throwing the ball like a pro. The two laughed, their joy infectious. Zyla felt warmth in her heart as she watched. She knew this day was changing everything. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the square, Zyla and Ethan joined the villagers for a dance. The music filled the air, a mix of melodies from both cultures. Zyla twirled in the center of the square, her laughter ringing out. Ethan joined her, and together they danced, their movements blending seamlessly. After a while, the music slowed, and the crowd gathered around to watch. Zyla and Ethan stopped, breathless but smiling. The villagers applauded, their faces bright with happiness. "This is the best day ever," Zyla exclaimed, her heart full. Ethan nodded, his eyes shining. "We did it, Zyla. This is just the beginning." As the festival continued, Zyla took a moment to step back and observe the joy around her. She saw friendships forming, laughter shared, and a sense of community blooming. Suddenly, she noticed Mira standing to the side, watching with a soft smile. Zyla felt a sense of gratitude toward the older woman. Mira had been one of the most worried villagers, but now she seemed at peace. Zyla approached her. "Mira," Zyla said gently, "thank you for giving us a chance." Mira turned to Zyla, her eyes warm. "You have shown us that humans can be friends. I was afraid, but today has changed my mind." Zyla smiled brightly. "I'm glad. We can learn so much from each other." As the night settled in, the villagers lit lanterns that floated into the sky. The sight was magical, illuminating the darkness and symbolizing their hopes for the future. Zyla felt tears of joy fill her eyes as she watched the lanterns rise. Ethan stood beside her, a look of wonder on his face. "This is incredible. It feels like we're part of something bigger." Zyla nodded. "Yes, we are creating a new beginning for both our worlds. Together." As the festival wound down, Zyla and Ethan found themselves sitting on a hill overlooking the village. The stars twinkled above them, and the sounds of laughter still echoed in the distance. "Today was amazing," Ethan said, leaning back against the grass. "I can't believe how much has changed in such a short time." Zyla looked at him, her heart swelling with gratitude. "Thank you for believing in us. You helped make this happen." Ethan smiled softly. "We did this together, Zyla. It shows that when we stand together, anything is possible." As they sat side by side, Zyla felt a deep connection with Ethan. She knew their friendship had grown into something special, something that could withstand any challenge. "We have a long journey ahead," Zyla said, looking out at the stars. "But I'm excited to see where it takes us." Ethan nodded. "Me too. This is just the beginning of our adventure." With hope in their hearts, Zyla and Ethan looked toward the future, ready to face whatever came next. Together, they had created a new beginning, one filled with friendship, understanding, and endless possibilities.